I had never really spent much time in a library because I'd grown up in a rural community until I attended my freshman year at McKendree College and I received a work study position in the library. I enjoyed that so much that I decided to transfer to Eastern Illinois University, where I eventually got a BA in English with a minor in library science. And then several years later, after working and raising a family, I decided to go to the University of Illinois to get my master's in library and information science in 2003. But as is true in so many professions, my real education began when I began working in the field. Upon graduating from Eastern, I became the children's librarian at Evans Public Library in Vandalia, Illinois. This is where I learned to love working with children. My primary responsibilities were to plan and host all children's programming, from preschool story hours to the Reading is Fundamental program in the schools to the summer reading program, which was very well attended. I decided I needed to return to school and become certified to teach so that I could work in school libraries, and this is what I did. I decided to return to Charleston to EIU, where I began work as a periodical supervisor in Booth Library on campus while I took education classes. In this position, I supervised several college students, assisted patrons in performing research, and was responsible for maintaining and updating the computer database of all the periodical holdings of the university. When I completed my student teaching, I landed my first job as a school librarian at East Richland High School in Olney, Illinois. In this position, I provided library orientation and assisted students in research, but the position wouldn't last beyond a year because it was RIFT. This was good timing, however, because I was about to become a wife and a stay-at-home mom, and I don't have enough time to tell you how much I learned in that position. By this time, we were living in Edwardsville, where I worked as the shelving supervisor at SIUE. Though I got to work with college students, it wasn't in a role as a librarian. I was their employer and they were my employees. And together we maintained the collection of over 1 million items. But I really wanted to work in a school library, preferably in a junior high or a high school, and help students with research and to connect them with some of the great young adult literature that was becoming available to them. So I accepted a job as a junior high school librarian at Auburn High School in Auburn, Illinois, and this is where I really began to grow as a librarian. I wrote my first grants at Auburn, which funded reading promotion programs in the junior high and a new graphic novel collection in the high school. I sponsored a high school book club which promoted reading through programs like our Poetry Coffee House during National Poetry Month. I really enjoyed working with the students at Auburn, but Auburn was a 1-hour commute each way. After 5 years, I decided to move closer to home to the Roxana School District and become their first junior high librarian. While at Roxana, I taught information skills classes to all the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I began working with the district librarian to create a kindergarten through 12th grade information skills curriculum. My second year there, however, I was reassigned as the elementary librarian, and I really missed working with the older students, especially in teaching research skills, so I soon moved on to Dupo High School, where I ran the shared junior high school library for 5 years. Working at Dupo was the biggest challenge so far in my career. The district had recently remodeled the library space, and when I was hired, the library was a large, empty room. All library materials were stored in boxes stacked to the ceiling in an adjacent classroom. New shelving was ordered, and I weeded through the entire collection, adding each title to the new library database. 6,000 titles later, the library was weeded, organized, and automated in just 4 months. The technology available to students at Dupo was almost non-existent. We had no computer lab for the high school, and there were only 4 working computers in the library. So I began writing grants. In my second year, I wrote a $9,000 grant, which enabled us to purchase laptops, microphones, a Promethean board, and a storytelling collection. My third year at Dupo, I wrote a $45,000 grant, which enabled us to purchase 25 computers for the library. The students finally had a place in the school to type a paper or to perform online research. At the end of my third year, because of my success with the previous grants, my principal asked me to write the Enhancing Education Through Technology, or the E2T2 grant. This grant provided over $600,000 for new technology and training for the high school. We purchased a 25-computer lab, as well as Promethean boards, document cameras, and new computers for every classroom in the high school, as well as software, peripheral equipment, and professional development. I became the technology coach as well as the solo librarian for the junior high and the high school. As such, I was responsible for all teachers becoming trained on the new equipment. I completed the Promethean trainer courses and directed the grant, trained the teachers, taught a quarterly information skills class to the 7th grade, and ran the library all at the same time. Unfortunately, at the end of my 5th year, DUPO was in a position where they had to eliminate some staff because they were being underfunded by the state of Illinois, and so my position was eliminated as a certified position, and I found myself once again being RIFed. And so my journey continues, and I am on the move. Currently, I have the good fortune to be providing for the medical leave for the OTHS Instructional Materials Center Director since October 2011, but this position will end this May. Here, I have been a part of a team, and my sole responsibility is to work with the teachers in directing students in the use of the district's technology. You see on the screen before you some of the technology I teach at O'Fallon High School. It seems more and more technology becomes a larger component of my job as a teacher librarian, and that's all right with me. The exciting possibilities of not just having such tremendous access to information, but the creative possibilities of sharing that information in new and interesting ways makes this an exciting time to be an information professional. Thank you for coming with me on my journey, and now we'll continue with the live presentation.